morning, guys. I'm making some TeeRex dip sauce today, and since I changed up the recipe a little bit from my last tutorial, I decided I would film this for you. I had already started it when I decided I would film it for you, but let me just tell you what I have in here so far. I've just cut up some onions. There is some compound butter, and I started to pour in my Texas Pete. And then I said, oh, let me film this since I have some new ingredients that I've been using. All right, pour in the Texas Pete. I pour in as much as I like, as much as I'm gonna need to make the sauce, how much sauce I'm gonna need. So I used a little over a bottle. I poured this whole bottle in, and I poured about this much out of another bottle. And I have some extra hot Texas Pete. I don't usually use this one, but I'm just going to dump a little bit in there because it is extra hot. Old Bay. I measure nothing, guys. Measure nothing. Some Old Bay. I do everything to taste. Paprika. I put a little bit in to start with because this is what makes the sauce really deep red. So I'll add more later once it starts cooking. Worcestershire. I pour enough in here to start to turn the sauce brownish color, a little reddish brown. Ginger, powdered ginger. This bottle is almost empty. I do have another, brand new. I spice it up pretty good with the ginger. Like I said though, you can put as much of these ingredients in it as you like. If there's some ingredient you don't like, you don't have to use it. Garlic powder. Put a nice helping of garlic powder in it because I don't really cut up garlic in it. This is super hot cayenne. This is about 130, about 120, it says, 120 Scoville units. So I'll shake a little bit of that in since I put that extra hot in there. And I have some Mrs. Dash lemon pepper. Adds a nice lemon zest to it if you don't have lemons, which I don't think I do. I use that sparingly at first because it is really lemony, like the true lemon flavor. So I'll turn this on and I'll let this come to a nice boil. It does get white sugar, that's all that's in here. Yeah, my homemade sugar jar. Gets a little white sugar, a couple sprinkles of white, and some brown sugar. Good. And you know, if you need more later, you can add more later. It's a good thing I planned on cleaning my stove after this, because I am making a mess. I definitely planned on cleaning the stove. But I wasn't about to clean it before I made the sauce because this can get so messy. And cleaning the stove is not one of my favorite chores. Some onion powder. I just put a little onion powder because, you know, I've got 1,000 onions cut up in there. I forgot one thing, and that is regular butter. And yes, it's a pretty big chunk that's going to go in there. This is butter sauce. So we got the compound butter and regular butter going in. I have not put thyme in this before. I have not used thyme. I'm just going to sprinkle a little thyme in this time and see if it changes up the flavor at all. You know, sometimes you don't even notice with as much seasoning that's in the compound butter, sometimes you don't even notice if you add a little bit of like a spice like thyme. I'm going to explain about the compound butter. It's made by a company here in Pittsburgh, Robert Woolley Grocery, and they make it there on site. So if you want to use a compound butter, you're probably not going to find it in your area. But what I suggest is you can use regular butter. If you want to make your own compound butter, use regular butter. Make sure it's soft. I have never tried this because I can always get the compound butter, but just make sure you start out with a soft pound of butter and add garlic, shallots, parsley, and lemon. I believe that is all that goes into compound butter. Shallots, garlic, lemon, and parsley. That is it. And you will have compound butter. That's what compound butter is. So you can make it yourself. So I'm going to stir this up a little bit, and then I'm just going to let it sit here and boil nice and hard, get a nice hard boil. Then I'm going to turn it down and kind of let it just simmer for about, let it simmer until it is a nice dark red color. Don't let it burn, but you can add more paprika to get it darker red because the butter is slowly lightening the color, as you can see. The butter will lighten it up. So I just keep adding paprika until it gets a little darker. Let it cook until the onions are done. You can let it simmer a little bit longer if you like. I'm adding a little bit more Worcestershire to help bring out that brownish red. Stir it, and like I said, let it boil. You can let this simmer a long time if you want. You don't have to turn it off when the onions are cooked tender. You know, I've let this simmer for an hour and a half before, and it doesn't hurt it at all. But there we go. We'll be back. This is how it's looking right now, guys. It's bubbling and it's getting darker. I'm probably gonna let it roll for another 45 minutes. Just letting it simmer, low fire. I'm gonna turn it even lower than this. That nice low simmer. Okay guys, you can see that nice deep dark red. I actually only let this go like another 30 minutes and not 45 minutes, and it got nice and dark like this. So just judge it by the color. Let it cook until you get that nice dark color. It is now ready for dipping whatever seafood or anything you want. It doesn't have to be seafood. You can dip whatever you like with this TeeRex Dip Sauce.